You're watching Grimworld. This is the story of Kouri Richins. On March 4th, 2022, a 911 call was made at 3:22 a.m. to the Summit County Sheriff's switchboard, sent EMS to a house on Willow Court in Francis, Utah. Francis is about 45 miles outside of Salt Lake City. Inside the master bedroom, Kouri Richins finds her 39-year-old husband Eric not moving and cold to the touch, laying on the floor at the foot of the bed. Emergency services arrive, finding Eric on the floor. His face had blood all over it. He had a mouthful of blood and was unresponsive. They performed life-saving measures and declared him dead. 33-year-old Kourie said that between 9 to 9:30 p.m. the night before, she made him a Moscow Mule and brought it to him in the bedroom. The couple was celebrating the acquisition of a multi-million-dollar property. They were closing on the next day. Kourie works as a local real estate agent and investor. She flips houses for profit. The property in Midway, Utah she was buying was an unfinished 27,000 square foot mansion that had 8 beds, 12 baths, and a 3,000 foot guest house situated on 9 acres of property. During the construction, the people ran out of money and had to walk away. Kourie was spending about $2 million on a down payment and renovations, then trying to resell it for $6 million. Kourie recounted her night to the cops. After giving Eric his drink, she went into the console, and their son woke up upset and fell asleep in there. Around 3 a.m. she woke and went into her room to find Eric on the floor unresponsive and called 911. She also claimed she tried CPR as dispatch had instructed. Though EMS stated that they found his mouth full of blood, the blood around his mouth was not smudged, and Kourie didn't have any blood on her. In an affidavit to obtain a search warrant dated April 11, 2022, Kouri's story differs on page 3. She states that they were celebrating a work thing. She had a shot of alcohol and a THC gummy. When asked if he was addicted to any substances or took any medication, she answered no, and he didn't have any substance abuse problem. Eric's son was in good health but had Lyme disease he had gotten from multiple tick bites while on a hunting trip in 2019 to Texas. She fell asleep in their kid's room located next to the master. Woke up around 3 a.m. She crawled into the bed beside Eric. She put her arm around him and he felt cold to the touch. She tried to wake him, but to her he appeared to be deceased, which prompted her to call 911. Kourie stated that her phone was charging on the nightstand and didn't take it to their son's room. Eric's body was taken to the medical examiner's office. The toxicology test was done. The results of the toxicology test came back on April 8, 2022, finding that he died of a massive overdose of fentanyl. The amount found was 5 times the lethal dose. It was determined to be street grade and to have been taken orally. Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin, which is why so many people die from it. According to friends of Eric, he didn't use narcotics, nor did he show any behavioral mood changes that may indicate drug abuse. During the search, conducted April 13th, Kouri's cell phone, several computers, a syringe, supplements, hydrocodone pills, gummies, oils, paperwork, prescription bottles, a backpack, THC edibles, a bottle of Mike's Hard Lemonade, over-the-counter medicine bottles were all seized. So why the different stories? Why are family and friends saying that he was poisoned and that it was not his first time? Kouri Darden and Eric Richins met in March 2009. Kourie had been working at local Home Depot as a cashier. Eric was a regular customer, and one of Kouri's co-workers thought that Eric was the catch, and that they might hit it off. Eric in the middle of a divorce who he married in 2005. Eric was born in 1982 in the town of Beautiful, Utah, the oldest of 3. Eric grew up hunting, helping on the family cattle ranch, and a member of the Mormon Church, after serving a 2-year mission in Mexico City, where he learned Spanish. Upon return, he went to the University of Utah, graduating with a degree in international studies with a minor in Spanish. Friends say that there is never a dull moment, with Eric being called the life of the party. By June of 2009, Kourie and Eric moved in together, and around October of 2010, Eric started a C+C stone masonry with good friend Cody Wright. Eric turned out to have great entrepreneurial skills, allowing the business to thrive. The business specialized in stonework and high-end residential and commercial properties. In January 2012, the couple got engaged, and around November of 2012, their first child was born and bought their first home. June 15, 2013, the couple got married in the backyard. Eric's mom and Kourie signed a prenup right before walking down the aisle right there in the backyard. They both signed it. It was stated in the prenup that neither would have the right to possess future income, property, or assets if they were to divorce. By 2022, Kourie and Eric had 3 boys under 10. Eric was a great provider and dad. He even coached youth sports teams for the boys. Kouri did Boy Scouts while running her own real estate business, Kouri Richins Realty, which started in 2019, specializing in flipping homes with a 6 to 7 figure prices. Kouri's cell and computer seized during the execution of the search warrant on April 13th were found to have text messages from a woman who was an acquaintance and former housekeeper of Kouri called CL. Police records have shown to have multiple counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. CL went to the police to inform because she felt guilty about Eric's death. CL was questioned on May 2, 2023, more than a year after Eric died, and told the police everything they wanted to know. CL stated that Kouri contacted her via text between 12:21 and 2:22, asking if she could get a prescription pain meds for a real estate investor with a back injury. A few days later, CL obtained hydrocodone pills, which were seized by the police. She then contacted Kouri, who told her to leave them in the fire pit where the money would be at the Midway house she was flipping. A couple of weeks later, Kouri contacted CL again, stating that the investor wanted something stronger. The pills are not strong enough, she claimed. She wanted that Michael Jackson stuff, referring to fentanyl. Michael Jackson, though, died not of an overdose of fentanyl, but an overdose of propofol. February 11, 2022, CL contacted her dealer to obtain 15 to 30 fentanyl pills. Kouri paid $900 for them, and an exchange happened in the backyard. 15 days later, Kouri wanted $900, more fentanyl pills. On February 22nd, CL left the pills at the Midway house, and the $900 was waiting there. On Valentine's Day, 2022, Kouri was said to have made a sandwich for Eric, leaving it on the seat of his truck with a love note. After eating it, he couldn't breathe and broke out in hives. Eric carried an EpiPen in the truck. Eric was sick that night, too. It was said that Eric contacted a friend that day to say that Kouri is trying to poison him. While on a 2019 trip to Greece, Eric reportedly became violently ill after drinking a beverage Kouri had been said to have made. 6 days after the last fentanyl purchase, Eric was dead. On the night he died, Kouri's phone was not actually in the master bedroom, but was in the kids' bedroom with her around 9:30 p.m. Kouri browsed the net until after 10 p.m. When she woke around 3 a.m., there was found to be a 14-minute delay between unlocking it at 3:07 and search history before she called 911 at 3:22 a.m. That night, she deleted all her texts, calls, and an iPhone was found in the bedside table containing incriminating web searches, including how a poisoning death is reported on death certificate. Luxury prisons in America. Can deleted texts be retrieved? Will life insurance pay if death certificate is pending? And can police force someone to take a lie detector test? Also, what is the lethal dose of fentanyl? The last question I can answer for everyone out there is no. They cannot make you take a polygraph test, and nor should you ever agree to one. Kouri was said to have a lengthy phone call with the IRS right before Eric died, but is not known for sure. Eric has been said to have told his family the multi-million purchase was not happening. His family also said that Eric was seeking a divorce. On May 8, 2023, Kouri was arrested at her home for aggravated murder of Kouri Richins in possession of a controlled substance. On May 18th, an updated charging documents state that Kouri's house flipping was nearly $2 million in debt. Between 2015 and 17, Kouri bought 4 life insurance policies on Eric. The payouts of the policies equal, you guessed it, $2 million. Eric did not seem to know about these policies. During this time, Kourie had full power of attorney. In October 2020, Eric finds out about these policies, then was said to have contacted a divorce lawyer and an estate lawyer to remove Kourie from his will and form a living trust transferring his entire estate and business to sister Katie for the benefit of the boys. The trust was made the beneficiary of a $500K insurance policy. Kourie tried to add herself to this policy, changing the beneficiary from Eric's business partner to herself. Eric is contacted when this happens and changes it back within hours. In February 2020, Kourie cashed in the 4 policies that she had just purchased the month before. At the time of Eric's death, Kourie allegedly owed $190,000 in state and federal taxes, $1,847,000 to investors and lenders, $514,346 to Eric. The money owed to Eric breaks down as a $250K line of home equity credit, $100K stolen from Eric's bank account, $40K credit card debt, $134K stolen from Eric's business account. It was stated that Eric confronted Kourie and she promised to pay it back. On March 5th, the day after Eric died, Kourie was said to have a gathering to celebrate the purchase of the estate. It was said to be a large party with drinking and celebrating. On March 6th, she learned that she was not the beneficiary of Eric's estate or even named in his will. Later that day, Kourie hired a locksmith to break into Eric's safe to get about $125,000 to $165,000 that had been put aside for taxes. When Eric's sister Amy found out, she confronted Kourie, saying that she had no right to open that safe. Kourie got mad and punched her in the neck and face. In her victim impact statement, Amy stated to the court, "I will never forget the look in her eyes. It took 4 people to pull her off me that day. I never knew evil like this existed." As a result of the attack, Kourie was charged with assault and eventually pled no contest to a Class C felony. In March 23, Kourie sued Eric's trust for the value of estate, which was about $3.6 million. Property, assets, she was entitled to under the prenup, and to remove Katie as the trustee. The prenup that Eric and Kourie signed had actually stated that if Eric dies before divorce, Kourie is entitled to all property and assets, as long as they are still married. Though in Utah, someone under suspicion or convicted of a crime cannot profit off the crime. On June 9, 2023, Kourie's lawyer made a case for her release. She didn't murder her husband and is not a flight risk. In response to claims an arrest warrant and search warrant, there was no document or text message that states Eric told anyone Kourie was trying to kill him or he was seeking a divorce. The statements that say otherwise are all hearsay, which is admissible in court. On their trip to Greece, he got sick when he had a mixed drink that the waitress served him. After saying to the same waitress that he could not consume alcohol due to the meds that he had been taking for Lyme disease at the time. After reciting it and taking one sip, he exhibited flu-like symptoms. Kourie went to the room and called Eric's stateside doctor to get a prescription sent to a local pharmacy. After he took it, Eric started feeling better within a few hours and decided to continue their trip. He had been taking a strong antibiotic to kill the Lyme disease. Kourie and Eric were with friends on the trip, and no one saw Kourie handle the drink as well as others sampling it, realizing that the drink tasted as though there was alcohol in it. On Valentine's Day, the sandwich had not been made but purchased by Kourie at a local dinner, as some of Eric's family had said. After eating, Eric took a nap in his office above the garage. He sent a text to Kourie saying that he wished she was with him. So sweet. Later that day, Eric came home and spoke to the nanny, then took the kids to soccer practice. The nanny stated that Eric did not seem sick. By many accounts, Eric was a bit of a party animal. Trips filled with drinking and drugs were common. In February 2022, Eric had bought pot gummies on a trip to Las Vegas. Eric seems that he had refrained from drinking around his Mormon family, who were not okay with this behavior. Eric and Kourie were not active in the Mormon faith. Kourie stated that Eric knew about the $250K line of credit, which was said to have been used for a previously sold house, one of which Eric even did the stonework on the house. Eric was also said to have known about the life insurance policies purchased between 2015 and 17. Since Eric wouldn't have had to take the physical exam, one of these policies even paid for with a joint checking account. The beneficiary was charged from Kourie around 7:21 p.m. and then Eric changed it back 6 minutes later. There was no way to tell what computer had been used, or if Kourie was the one that changed it. Kourie stated that the Midway estate was not a problem in the marriage, and it was stated she was the sole owner, and there was no large party. Friends would be stopping by for a small get-together to cheer up Kourie and the kids the day after Eric died. Multiple people who had been there confirmed this. So when is a party considered a party? They also came forward to say that Eric's sister both escalated and exaggerated what had happened between Kourie and her. The night Eric died around 8:15 to 10:59 p.m. after Kourie served his drink, he was texting a friend arranging a day and time to get to the horns from an animal shoot on a hunting trip to Mexico. Even having an 8.5-minute phone call, and was on Instagram from about 11:45 to 56 p.m. Did CL give false information? Did she hope that policies would let her go? Since she was facing multiple felony drug charges, it appeared that Kourie pulled Eric out of bed to attempt CPR as instructed, though it seems that she never performed CPR. The glass that the Moscow Mule was served in was apparently never tested or taken into evidence. The safe that Kourie broke into was purchased using the joint credit card. Kourie had known the code, but it had been changed. She needed to get to the documents as the cash was set aside. When she eventually found the code and was able to get in, she found only $10,000, not $160,000, that she expected to be in there. Is she being framed, or did she kill her husband? The prosecution claims that she is a flight risk because a large duffel packed containing clothes, toilets, shoes, IDs, social security cards, and camping supplies. But where was it found? At the first court hearing, during the 4-hour hearing, Kourie was denied bail. The judge said, poised as a substantial danger to the community, she must remain in custody pending the outcome of the trial due to the substantial evidence against her. The circumstances of this case weigh soundly against granting pretrial release of any kind. This was adding to the array of possible penalties in a murder case, which creates powerful incentives for a defendant to resort to desperate acts that may include harming themselves, other members of their families, or witnesses in the case. 3 witnesses took the stand for the prosecutors. Detective Jeff O'Driscoll testified about CL and the text messages sent between the 2 women about acquiring drugs. The messages, though, were gone, only the timestamps could be retrieved by the investigators. He also told about how Kourie did not perform CPR and had in fact lied about it. Because the EMS had noticed that when they started CPR, Eric started foaming from the mouth, and that would have already happened if she had actually done CPR. Investigators found a bug-out bag in the home also. It included copies of important documents and clothing that belonged to the entire family, including Eric. Detective Driscoll went on to say that CL had been told by detectives that she faced drug charges. This is a common tactic used by police, so to leverage charges for information. CL has always had a consistent story. He had also had a conversation with Eric's best friend, JF, about Eric's death, and JF posed 3 possible scenarios. 1. He had accidentally OD'd himself. 2. Someone had given him the lethal dose. 3. He had intentionally killed himself. JF went on to say that he didn't see Kourie poisoning Eric, and he believes she had nothing to do with it. The next witness was Chris Kotrodimos, which specialized in digital data. He stated that he was able to tell when the phone had last been locked or unlocked, when they were used to send texts or make calls, and where it was moved the night Eric died. The defense asked what was the period of time evaluated. Mr. Kotrodimos stated that they started in January of 22. The defense then asked if the number of times Kourie and CL texted was normal compared to before January 22nd, January 2022, and the witness answered that he wouldn't know. He went on to say that Kourie's phone pinged at a gas station at the time CL had indicated a drug transaction was to take place. Finally, Brooke Carrington, a forensic financial investigator, took the stand. She stated that Kouri's business was growing and had grown rapidly. For the type of business she had, rapid growth could be a problem because of the amount of debt she would have to take on. It is typical for a business of her kind to use hard money loans and other forms of debt to cover expenses. Eric's sister gave him a victim impact statement to the court. Also, she stated that she was tormented by what her brother had endured. She plays it out in her head and goes through the terrifying series of events. I wonder when he realized he was in mortal danger. I wonder what Kourie had said to him in the last moments. We watched as she paraded around parting, then portraying herself as the grieving widow and victim, while trying to capitalize on my brother's death. The feeling of loss is visceral. I can feel it in my soul. He did everything he could to provide for his family and help others. I never knew evil like this existed. The defense have called into question 3 of the documents allegedly signed by Eric, stating they believe the signatures were forged. They went on to say that the prosecution accepted a narrative from the victim's family that his wife had poisoned him and worked backwards to make the evidence support it. They spent 14 months investigating, only to find no evidence supporting their theory. Being bad with money doesn't make you a murderer. Being bad at managing your accounts makes you bad at math, but it doesn't make you a murderer. Since the pre-trial hearing denying bail, Eric's sister Katie has filed for custody of her nephews and to be appointed trustee of their inheritance. September 15th, prosecutors filed for a no-contact order to prevent suspected witness tampering in her upcoming trial. A letter addressed to Kouri's mother asked her to ask Kouri's brother to say Eric was getting drugs and pills from Mexico and to link them to his death. No such link has been found at this time. Thank you for listening to the story of Kouri Richins on Grimworld. Don't forget to subscribe